Look, I was afraid to make this. I'm afraid to make this video because this video is going to be very manipulative. In fact, it's going to be the most toxic video on my channel. But the thing is that I get so many comments of you guys whenever I break down famous celebrity. Oh, he only gets those women because he's famous. Oh, because he's good looking. He got money. How about now? What are you going to say about Rasputin? Rasputin, women used to literally travel across Russia. People. Fucking Russia, where Napoleon couldn't even conquer. They used to travel to Russia. I mean, towards where Rasputin was, just to sleep with him. Rasputin has so much power over them that they would, sometimes women would wait outside to bang him in line, and he'll literally come out drunk and he'll say, "Oh, look at these pathetic fools. They're coming after me, wanting to sleep with me, and they'll still sleep with me even though I'm calling them fools." Like, he'll literally do that. And they literally slept with him. Didn't shower. Didn't do nothing. And he wasn't just having sex with them. Dude was having orgies. Threesomes, foursomes, fivesomes, sisters. Doesn't matter. He was fucking them all. And you ask yourself, how the fuck was he able to do that shit? Oh, do I have an answer for you people? You know, one of my fascinations are things that doesn't make any sense. And to me, Rasputin is a perfect example. But once you begin to study him, all doesn't make sense, people. And that's what we're gonna be breaking down. This is something that I'm gonna teach in my course. Not the complete man, the natural man, where I teach you guys how to seduce women through aura. This one is one of those aura, spiritual aura, right? And honestly, this is my favorite one because it can make up for so many of your flaws if you just apply it. I mean, look at this guy, right? He had a few natural talents. Don't get me wrong, right? He had some pretty cool physical attributes. He had a deep voice, and he had a crazy strong eye contact. Now, who was he? Well, he was a Russian mystic. He was like a monk, to be honest with you, who mixed spirituality, rebelliousness, and sexuality. For his time, he was very progressive, right? And this strategy only works if you if you progress a past movement, meaning you can't just be fucking Bob the Priest. You have to be more contemporary, right? And he refused to shower. That's another thing about him. And he refused to look elegant. And the thing about him, what made him so powerful, is that he had the complete control over the royal family. So the strategies that I'm gonna teach you not only gives you power amongst women, it could potentially give you power politically. And the truth is that cults a lot of the times become intertwined with politics. Okay, that's just how it is. And how did he control the family? Well, you gotta understand, this doesn't work on everyone, right? The reason why he was able to manipulate the Romanov family is because they actually believed in spirituality. So this strategy does depend on where you live. You can't do this if you go to a place that doesn't believe in spirituality. The more spiritual the place is, the more they believe. Like, for example, Mexico, right? I'm in Mexico compared to going to a place like Dubai, right? It's a lot easier to apply the strategy in a place like Mexico rather than Dubai. Oh, better yet, somebody trying to apply these strategies in a place like LA versus a place like fucking South Dakota, right? LA, California has the most cults in all of the country. Reason why is because there's a need to believe in something more. Usually the more miserable the people are, the better it is. The less stable and the fewer families they have, the easier it is for them to fall for this type of charisma. Right? And you gotta understand Russia at that time. I mean, if you read the Russian writers, they were miserable. I mean, they were just absolute misery. So they use a lot of spirituality as a form of escapism, and it worked. But the problem with this is that there are people out there that are going to exploit your desire to connect with something greater than what you see. Right. So what he did was he presented himself as a medium between him and God. And you might say that's difficult. It's not. It really isn't, right? So he seduced a nation of women. Look at him. That's him and his family of women, right? Let's see if we could find that Rasputin and women. Look at this, man. Like this is the type of shit that's them clothed, man. They're clothed, but he was always surrounded, and these were the ugly ones. Like these were the ugly ones. So what was his power base? One, he was a devoted spiritual god. At least in the beginning, he was known to travel across different areas of the country to visit spiritual sites, and so he was kind of known as a spiritual like person who was really devoted. And not only that, he developed a reputation of healing, which if you know about healing, a lot of the times you don't have to heal them. You just have to make them think that they got healed. And what you want is for people to talk about you. Because when people say that you healed them, for example, and they didn't get healed, one of the things about humans is that they're not going to say, hey, you know what? I said that he healed me. In fact, he didn't heal me. That's one thing about humans. What he relied on was on the appearance of healing. And how did he do that? Through his odd behavior. He would conduct like crazy rituals, like movements, things that looked like God was talking and moving through him. I'm gonna show you how he did his first impression. It was kind of incredible, to be honest with you. So his weirdness, the way that he looked, the intense eye contact, is what gave him the aura that makes people think that he healed them. And all he needed was for them to tell someone. Even if they felt the affliction the next day, they're not gonna say, hey, you know what, I was wrong about him. They're not gonna say that. So it's one of those things that it's a lot of manipulation, and it's fucked up, but it works, right? Now, the next one is that, so how did he do it? One, it's really, he did a lot of contradictions, right? So he was known as a holy man. He was known for healing, but he was paradoxically sexually liberal. So that means that, for example, I'm not going to get ahead of myself. So he was paradoxically sexually liberal. He was extremely spiritual looking. Look at him, he's very spiritual. But then he would tell his followers that in order to repent, you must first sin. And how do you sin? By having sex with him. Ladies, people, you guys don't understand. I know this doesn't make sense, but you got to think about it from their point of view. They live in rural areas. They're miserable, sad. He looks the part. I mean, he looks the part. He looks spiritual. But then he has a hint of evil, his eyes. So when you have something that looks holy, which is by him, but then all of a sudden, he will look at you like that. That contradiction from super holy to, oh, there's something evil about this guy, to women spells danger. And that type of danger draws them in. So it's like, so what, let me show you his first, this is how he introduced himself. Let me see if I can find a video, right? He would introduce himself with a mix of harshness and kindness. Meaning, at first, when he first met the Romanov family, he had them like in a row. He wanted to like greet every one of them, right? The first thing that he did, he would first look at them like this, with a serious look about him, right? He would look at them with seriousness, okay? And then he would stare at them and then make them feel awkward. So he would stare at them with intensity for like a minute and would almost like be analyzing you. And then all of a sudden, he would turn that frown upside down and look super warm. He would like, he'll grab your hand and kiss you and like, right? So he would, just that first thing. The first impression is coldness, and then he warms up to you. A very good principle in life where with people, you first start cold and then you warm up to them. You don't first start like a fucking monk and happy. You first start cold and maybe a little scary, and then you warm up and show your, that draws people into you. And women at that time, they found it intimidating, but when they saw that smile, they found it extremely seductive. So that's the first thing he would do. He would first talk, and it was actually they asked about him because he was a healer, right? And I think the son, they were giving him aspirin, and it was causing his skin, his blood to get thin. The kid that he healed in a royal family, and he told him to stop to stop taking pills and to do something. But the point is that not taking pills allowed his blood to go back to normal. Like it was like a blood thinner, and that was actually the problem. And then he got healed. But the performance, right? The performance and the reputation and everything gave the aura that God was working through him, right? So known as a healer, he had a crazy good introduction, crazy good first impression, right? And so what he would do then, he was also do more contradictions. That's what I like about him, is that he was a lot of contradictions. So he would start talking sweet and loving, talking about God, talking about how beautiful God is. And then all of a sudden he'll talk about why all you motherfuckers are all about wealth. All you motherfuckers are all about wanting to be materialistic. Why can't you guys be humble? Like he would go from happy and then to being angry at people's vanity, right? And that gave people the impression like, okay, this guy is not a normal monk. Like, this guy he's different. Like he got aura. Like he gives this like holy look, but then from time to time he gives you like an evil look, like that evil look. So he will fluctuate between the holy, evil, and people. You gotta understand, it's like things. It creates heat. It creates charisma. It creates authority. Right? The contrast made him look different from all the monks. Another contradiction is that his holiness and act gave him the authority to flirt with women. He would literally openly flirt with women. The thing about him is that he was so himself. He was so dark and holy at the same time. It gave the vibe of an animal. And the way he looked like an animal too. Right? But it gave him the vibe of just a pure animal, right? Because he was so himself. He would speak loving, but then he would speak hatred and anger. And that is extremely charismatic to women, but not just women, just in general as a call leaders, right? And there were times when he would literally flirt. He would pick the most attractive woman, bring her out and dance while he's saying dirty things to her in front of everyone. But because he was known as as God's messenger, I mean, he clearly healed someone. Clearly, God is on his side, so that must be right. He would tell people that God told them to do this. God told them that in order for you to sin, in order for you to repent, you must sin by sleeping with me, and the women would believe that. And it's kind of akin to a guy saying, like a casting couch, but spiritually. He had a spiritual casting couch. If you're gonna sleep with me, if you wanna repent, you gotta sleep with me. And because he had spiritual authority, he had the disheveled look. He wasn't ugly, right? But he was unkempt. It's extremely charismatic to these women. Oh my God. They couldn't get enough of him. Another thing is the eyes, right? If you want to imitate his look, it's all about tensing up the eyes and relaxing your face. So everything becomes tense. Your eyes become tense, but then you relax everything and you just keep that look. And then from time to time, you undulate when you talk about something. And then when it's time to talk about the real good thing, sometimes you give them the strong look, but then sometimes you talk happy, and then every now and then something really fucking pisses you off. And that contradiction, right? Well, as long as it's not too extreme, well, the more spiritual authority you have, the more space you have to have wider contradictions. But for normal folks, you want to have more of a subtle contradiction, right? You don't want to appear too happy one time and then calm the next. It looks crazy, unless they believe that God is on your side. Now this is just you being enraptured by God. They call that charismatic preachers, right? So he would look at them and stare at them in silence and just stare, intense. And then once he senses the woman is getting a little scared, he will warm up and say, "Come here, daughter." He will almost look into their soul, right? And that people give him and that to women is very fucking seductive, man. Like they like that shit, and word of mouth spread. They spread that sleep with him purifies you. And you gotta understand, people were desperate. People were desperate because they back then they had a lot of ailments. They didn't have modern medicine though, so they believed, especially since he healed the royal family's kid. So then everyone started going to him, and so once they believe that you're able to heal someone who's of the royal family, you saying you got to sleep with me to get spiritual power isn't that far off. The problem is that you guys misunderstand how gullible people are. More women will believe this shit. The thing is, it's not going to work on everyone because most people knew he was bullshitting. That's the thing. Most people knew, but it didn't matter. What mattered are the ones that believe. In fact, who gives a fuck? If they don't believe, that means that creates more space for cognitive dissonance in your followers. Right? So he was a holy man, known for healing. So how did he sleep with the women? To repent, you must first sin. Why did they believe him? Because people were miserable. So you gotta, this is why people, like, for example, if you want to do this, spiritual game is best used when people come to you first, right? So, like, for example, me, I use spiritual game, but I don't use it in the way that you guys assume I use it, right? Like, I have meditation groups, but I don't sleep with any of the people in the meditation group. None of them. I don't sleep with anyone in my art group. None of them, right? For the simple being that, I have a conscience. Okay, I'm not a psychopath. Okay, I'll sleep with your friends if you don't mind. But with people directly going to those groups, I don't do that because that's you're taking advantage of them, right? But like I've heard God. No, I remember talking to this girl who used to go to this tea ceremony, and she said that during one of the tea ceremonies, she slept with the monk. It was in New York City actually, and she was like, it was hot, and I was like, I know it was. Like, you're having sex with a guy who you shouldn't be having sex with. It's hot. I know. That's the point. It gives it the transgressiveness. It's like, ooh, this is I shouldn't be doing this, huh? Right? And people are drawn to that. Right? It feels forbidding. Right? And then so you're having sex with a spiritual person and you shouldn't do that. It becomes addictive. It becomes addictive. Especially if he tells you what benefits you're going to experience. Especially if the benefits are abstract. After sleeping with me, man, you're going to notice you have more energy. You're going to focus more. You could psych yourself into feeling those symptoms. And then it will cause you to come back for more. People want spiritual shortcuts. Make them think that through you can have spiritual shortcuts. I can't go further. I'm teaching too much of this, man. Next one. So his flaws also gave him a contradiction. Remember, he was an alcoholic and a sexaholic. So he was an alcoholic, womanizer, and an asshole to his followers, and yet they still followed. This added to the aura and credibility. I'm not going to go any further because, this is my only issue with this one is that it could get dark. This shit works, and anybody can do it. All I tell people is don't lie to people about who you are. You could have spiritual aura by just being a genuinely spiritual person. You don't have to lie to people. You don't have to tell people that God fucking sent you. Don't lie about that type of stuff. Okay? It's make sure that if you do this, it's a genuine thing. Trust me, man. If you do it in a genuine way, someone's gonna fuck you. All right? Someone's gonna find you attractive. There's no need to lie. All right? Because what happens, what guys don't understand is that sleeping with women using this strategy can, in some countries or some states, can be considered, because they lose consent for the fact that they think it's your God. Like, even if they're delusional, if you make them think that, in some places that's illegal. You can't do that. So just keep it fucking normal. No need to say that you're God or a messenger of God. If you believe that you had a past life, you could talk about that. But there's enough room to gain spiritual points without having to go towards the lying part. You know, but if you want to lie, man, is it easy to lie to people, man. That's the part that blows my mind. Anyways, man, let me know what you guys think about this. Pre-order my course. Jesus Christ, people, I always forget my course's name, The Natural Man, where I teach you guys how to create attraction through aura points like these. This is a spiritual aura. There's also other aura points like being good at something. That's another way to do that. It's a course that I created to help you guys attract more women the natural way. Okay. Anyways, take care.